difficult. And I promise, if you are a trio or you're just interested in competitive Fortnite and getting better, go and load up these guys' server replays. Watch them play. Check them out on their socials. You might want to actually mute their streams every now and then because they can get a little loud on the comms. Ballas does a great job breaking that one down. And let's actually take a look at page 2 of the standings because, as we talked about, in the heat formats, the top 8 are going to advance. But just so you can get a hint, 5 elims right now is getting you up into that second page. There is 32 teams in each one. They each need to be in the top 25% in order to advance. In Europe, every single one of these guys is impressive, but they're all capable of stringing together a couple of good runs. You have 6 games. A third of them are down. You're now into kind of like the meat of it. In the next 2 games, you don't want to fall early. So expect to see some intense battles early on and maybe a little bit more passive play kind of in the mid game because people don't want to get dropped out. You don't want it to be a third game and then fall out and realize, oh, with that much more off the pace, that we really need to be pressing forward. I think you'll start seeing aggression in games 5 and 6, but 3 and 4, they're going to be playing a little bit more like hanging out, just being like, oh, there's people over there? No, I'm good.
So not like me, because I didn't get to play. Got it. Yeah, we'll have to see how things go because, again, like Sunon's saying, you have to be top 8 if you want to move on to grand finals. So for a lot of these teams, I think we're going to see that, though. Maybe even some teams that are even on, say, page 3, they want to try and make top 8. So they might just say, look, we're going to contest MMB and retail. Let's just go for it. We have 6 games. Let's try it once. If it doesn't work out, we'll change up the plan. But I mean, I know that's tough, a tall order. I'm aware.
I wouldn't say so retail loot is strong. But there's a reason why you see the most dominant teams kind of staking their ground in retail. Because it's like, come and challenge us if you want. Because if anything, that benefits us more. We're confident that we can take those early game fights with you. Like, if you want to split and try and do the blacktop houses, like, that's fine. But these guys will end up running at you. They will take the challenge because for them, like, they see 50 pots. They see points on the leaderboard. They see ways to climb this way up. No, it's serious. That's how MMB, that's how Volks and them, that's what they look at retail at. If you want to come there that confident, and the mental game is so important, particularly in a heat structure like this, where if you're in the first 2 games, if you are hanging around off this page, if you're not in direct contention, you might think, man, I'm struggling right now. Like, we really need to get into it. But in reality, you're able to string together 1 or 2 strong games, or even a victory royale right now would put you through, right? Yeah. And any of these guys are capable of winning one of these games, so I think they can do it, but it's all about keeping a strong mental game as you're going through.
It's tough, man. I mean, as much as I want to see Johnny's jar of mayonnaise, it would be kind of cool to have a new trio come up and, dethrone MMB. I am about that, but it's just going to be a lot about mental game, like you're saying. If you start to just lose your confidence even just a little bit, that's going to affect your potential placement in top 8. We'll have to see, though. I'm getting a little too excited, Fortnite fam. I want to see more of this. But yeah, I think we're getting ready. Battle Bus, the players are boarding. We'll be there in just a moment. I think we have a package here in just a moment. But what do you think, man? So do you think, where is Aqua? Did we see him? Is he on page 1?
They're not in this heat. They're not in
this heat. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's different heats. It's okay.
Different heat.
This is just heat 1. So
which brings
again,
me to my
just to
next
remind
point.
people, is a little too excited here. There are 4 heats coming through in Europe. 8 teams will be advancing and going on. And the way you're able to kind of score and work your way up is through eliminations and placing higher up. Though in Europe, particularly, they have the highest amount of participation. So all of these players they are at the very tippy top, right? This is the top 0.01%. Right. These are the best of the best and the people who are very able to, compete against these guys. So, they're able to elevate their game on a particular day. However, as we're sitting here and able to, have our own predictions, there's a reason we all think Mitro, Mongo, and Benji have done it. There are repeated trios who have shown they're consistently stronger and that much better than the rest. It's not like we're basing this off of who our favorite players are, right? It's going and looking at and breaking it down. But for now, we're going to throw to a 10-minute break while we sort some stuff out on our end. We'll go talk to the bus driver, try and get that going. You guys take your bio breaks whatever you need. We'll be right back.
Hello family of Fortnite, BallaTW here, and throughout the Fortnite Champion Series, we're going to be trying to get more acquainted with the world of competitive Fortnite. Today, we're going to be discussing the 3 different stages of a competitive Fortnite game. The early game, the mid game, and the late game. And what different players have as their goals during these stages in order to achieve the ultimate goal, the Victory Royale. Let's start with the early game. Also called the looting phase, this is where all players are attempting to secure their chosen landing spot and maximize their loot potential. In competitive Fortnite, every game matters, so players try to strike a balance between high loot opportunity and safety so as to not waste a game by being eliminated early. Do you drop at a high loot POI like Retail Row or Paradise Palms? Or land at a safer POI on the edge of the map, where less players drop because of less loot. Regardless, the goal is common. Whether you take a passive approach by looting safely on the side of the map, or an aggressive and risky approach by letting others loot for you and finding early elimination. Now that we know what the early game is, what should we be looking out for during this stage? First things first, being contested. The first realization players make when landing is whether you're being contested or not, to prepare for the upcoming possible fight. Trios want to try to force your opponent into the more disadvantageous position cut off from loot potential. Either they have to make a desperation push, or they're stuck with less loot where you can easily clean up. That's just the beginning, as even though it starts off high intensity with all the different POIs being contested, it quickly slows down as the rotations begin towards first zone. Looting doesn't end here, and most competitive players will have a loot path, which optimizes their possibility for finding the crucial mobility and weapon upgrades. Thanks to the new battle map feature in the replay mode, we can study these loot paths and rotations quite easily these days. So go check that out in any replay from the Fortnite Champion Series by going into the Compete tab and finding your favorite player. It will vary from game to game, but generally, we move into the mid-game around the middle to end of second zone. The mid-game is the calm before the storm. Before the storm circle gets too small where it forces the engagements. Most players' goals aren't positional, but in some cases, depending on how the early game went, you have to strike a balance, this time between looting and farming, or going for the best position. Looting could include playing extremely aggressive to earn yourself other players' loot. In trios, it's much harder to play that aggressive playstyle, since fights take longer and cost more. You want to be efficient with any rotations or fights you have to take. You don't want to spend your precious mobility, valuable resources for health. This is why you'll see a lot of the top players look directly for center zone in the mid-game. You're in the center zone, you end up giving yourself the most chance of being in the next storm circle when it gets revealed. You'll then have to go less distance and thus spend less materials. Finally, the end game. The most exciting, hectic, thrilling, and difficult part of competitive Fortnite. Experiencing an endgame can be confusing and hard to process, but it will also be one of the most rewarding and fun times to play and watch. This is when you take all the advantages you built in the early game and the mid game and use them to push yourself to a victory royale, and also find as many eliminations as possible. In the current Fortnite Champion Series format, every elimination matters, just like it did in the World Cup. From 6th zone onwards, where the calm from the mid-game explodes into a cacophony of tunneling, mobility usage, and shots being fired, you'll see teams go for the ever-so-advantageous high ground, where they can tunnel very cheaply and have the most opportunity on the rest of the server for elimination, as they have the top-down view. You'll also see teams call out the need to find a good lane, away from other players, above, below, and horizontally from you. You'll see teams desperate for the extra materials to last them through to the full zone closure, going for impact eliminations, where they can top off on resources and power weaponry of their fallen opponents. So, whether you're watching or you're joining us on the field, take stock in the stage of the game. The early game, when you're trying to get the best possible loot while it's still available. The mid game, where you're balancing positioning while maintaining what you built during the early game. And finally, the end game, where you spend all the advantages you set yourself up with to earn the victory royale. Use this to form your game plan in order to earn as many series points weekend after weekend. And maybe next time, we'll be watching and highlighting your top plays. This was BallTW, and I'll see you in game.
Hey guys, Charlie. Now, one of the most dynamic, flexible, and clutch items every trio is utilizing in the Fortnite Champion Series, the Shockwave Grenade. We're going to be taking a look at some of the basics on how it's used and misused at different moments in the game, and how to adapt and play against them towards the end game. To get started, let's get a refresher on what shockwaves are and some of the basics of using them. Shockwave grenades are utility items that drop inside of you and have a stat size of 6. When thrown, the shockwave launches anyone within its tile-and-a-half radius far distances, destroying builds in the process, with the added protection from fall damage for the players who use them. The most effective way to gain maximum distance is to time your jump well with a shockwave right below you, angling yourself above it for higher vertical movement, or towards the side of it in midair for horizontal coverage. If you do use a shockwave to rotate through building breakthrough, you'll only be able to go through about 5 areas worth of metal before you can get stopped. When the height don't get stopped by any opposing player's builds at all, you can reach upwards of 7.5 miles in height, making anyone above you surprised to gain both yours and your enemy's game plan in a split second. Although really easy to understand and use individually, once entering the atmosphere of trios and teamwork, the use of shockwaves enters a whole new dimension. There are deciding factors and win conditions if used properly, allowing for easy positioning and rotations. Using them and syncing together after the landing is efficient and gets your whole trio online, ready to fire at a faster rate compared to the rest of the competition. Saving these grenades for later use brings an element of surprise as well, and a level of shock to the whole server. Looking at 8th and 9th zones with densely packed endgames, vertical shockwaves make high ground and mid ground layers crumble, and give patient trios and surviving solos a way to counter long tarps and bases towering above them. Facing off against 3 players usually proves fatal though, as you are vulnerable throughout your whole flight and easily targeted by the trio you're trying to attack. Turbo building walls on the way up from your shockwave can work against this though, but gives your newfound height or foundation easily shot out and focused from the middle. Panicking with shockwaves in your own box and misusing them is always an irreversible mistake during the game, giving you poor positioning split away from the trio, costing you building resources, or ultimately you and your teammates their entire health and skill pool if used at the absolute incorrect moment. To counteract the chaos from shockwaves, new and clean strategies are put in place to negate the negative and potential mishaps in certain situations. When going for height, separately boxing up before using the shockwaves and going for height then allows you to have power in numbers as 3 players get a vertical rotation together, overwhelming the competition. Discovering new positioning and shockwave throwing angles and targets within your box might keep your trio and teammates closer together when using one shockwave to rotate, saving crucial mats and attracting less attention during your mid-game rotations. You also save your total shockwave count by doing this, allowing for more opportunities to challenge high ground, grief low ground in the endgame, or rotate in mid-game. Countermeasures can be taken too, such as keeping a teammate higher than normal, multiple layers above you, as in the event of a vertical shockwave, you still have someone up high who can rain down and support your trio on a retake. Keeping your own shockwave handy is a way to counter anyone taking height off of you as well. But if both trios play mind games, so they get smaller, and smaller, the more likely a chance there is for a messy, repeat shockwave circus happening all at the same time. Player after player gets sent flying in the sky, with teammates all getting sent around in and out of the storm, off their tarp layers, and splits costing your trio more mats and resources than normal. Identifying these mistakes, staying in your lane, and watching teams move is a good way to anticipate and prevent disaster from striking before it happens. Although an item overlooked as simple as at first, the potential and efficiency of using shockwave grenades as a trio separates the good players from the great. And practicing, reviewing, and watching how plays are set up before they happen is a good way to keep in the loop, improve on mistakes, and get better retakes on height when using one of the most versatile items in the game. Keep your team's position in mind while breaking, jumping, and blasting into the air until you get it just right. And who knows, maybe you can have that top play or amazing call that saves your team while competing in the FNCS.
What's up, Fortnite fans? So first of all, sorry about that. We had a little bit of issues on our side with the European matches flushing, but there's been a ton of Fortnite action going on this morning anyway, with Middle East wrapping up their first and second heat. So we have the final results, and we're going to hop into some of the action. And also, I just want to say, my predictions East, we were able to go through and we talked about what some of our predictions, particularly in the Middle East and European region, are. So make sure you get up to date on that, get what our thoughts and opinions are. But we're going to be going to match one of the Middle East region in just a second here. And honestly, I'm excited. It's going to be the first time seeing Middle East in outside of the open tournament format and seeing the top teams really go at it. And honestly, looking at the heats afterward, there are a lot of big changes now up on the board here. You can see there were some differences in the predictions. One, I will say, I was the one who predicted Flame, Prime, and Hunter up there. A lot of Seek and Eyes names, but otherwise, Plops, Hero Kappa, and Fuso were the favorites going through. They performed pretty well. You will be seeing them in the Middle East Grand Final tomorrow. However, Flame, Prime, and Hunter were also able to have a positive day in their heat and advance through. So predictions so far are holding steady.
Hello? Leon Wolfie?
Huh?
Leon?
Huh?
Is saying you join this? My friend Leon Wolf joined.